Hello Stargazers, Evolutionary Astrologer Bryan Colter here for your horoscope report for the upcoming Libra new moon. And oh my God, we are here and it's intense. Now, for any of you who have been watching my videos the last couple months, what I've been saying is that September and October are the two most intense months of an already very intense year. And of these 2 months, this is the height of the energy, this specific new moon here. This is the most charged lunar event, whether it's a new moon or a full moon, of the entire year, probably of many years. And there's a variety of reasons for that, but let's just say we're at the crescendo, the apex, the plateau of this very intense energy. And also in preparing for this video, what I noticed was, I've only been doing these videos for a year and a half, but during these lunar events, I've never seen every planet in a very juicy aspect to another planet. You know, usually there's a couple that are kind of minding their own business, not doing much, but not so here. All 10 planets, even the nodes of the moon, are in a hard aspect known as a square or an opposition. These are friction and tension-based aspects to another planet or planets. So the chart looks like a tangled mess when you look at it in a lot of red lines. That's what's depicted here in the astrology software when we're looking at these very hard aspects. And we have this major Saturn-Pluto-Jupiter conjunction in the sky. They're all within about 5 or 6 degrees of each other in the late degrees of Capricorn. The new moon itself is at the late degrees of Libra in that square to those 3 planets. We also have Mars, the god of war, to an opposition to the moon, to a square to that Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter. Saturn itself is known as the greater malefic. Mars is the lesser malefic, so a lot of malefic energy there through the squares and oppositions. We also have Mercury in an opposition to Uranus, the planet of earthquakes and lightning bolts. And when looking at this, and I'll describe what all this means, fear not, I'm just trying to set the table here. But we also want to look at the planet that rules Libra, give us some more insight. That's Venus. It's in an opposition to Neptune. So, so much going on here. And just to bring us into kind of an image that kind of brings us into the spirit of this, Libra is about balance. It's about keeping the peace. So here we find, sweet Libra, the peacekeeper, the olive brancher, in a mosh pit of a bar fight. That's kind of the energy here. It's like, she's kind of outgunned. She's outnumbered. Yet that's the goal, to keep the peace. So we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. Of course, there's ways of wading through the insanity, but we are trying to make a peace treaty in a very chaotic environment. So let's try to parse out some meaning from this tangled mess that we're working with here. And we'll start with the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction. It's been happening ongoing for the last few months now. And Saturn and Pluto have been, dancing in the sky together all year. They came together exactly at the beginning of the year in January. And all year they've just been snicker-snack in the sky. And here they are very close to each other yet again, but aided and abetted and joined by Jupiter. So Saturn, the greater malefic, has a pretty weighty, oppressive feeling to it. It feels like a heaviness. Now, it's not just because Saturn wants to be a pain in the butt in our lives. There is a positive evolutionary intention here. But it does feel, that's the energy, if you could describe it. It feels heavy. It feels exhausting, especially when Mars is in the mix. And then, of course, that energy of weightiness combined with Pluto, the planet of extremity, bringing that energy of oppression to extreme, the feeling of it. And even Jupiter itself has this expansive quality to it, the king of the gods, expanding everything it touches. So expansion, extremity, and then the greater malefic Saturn. Okay? And what adds to the heaviness of it is that Pluto itself, when we talk about, this is evolutionary astrology, what's the evolutionary intention of Pluto? It's always about the process of our wounds coming up to the surface, and then, of course, the process of transforming those wounds, healing from those wounds, and changing as people. It's really the planet of regeneration, because as we heal from our psychological garbage can, we have more energy to expend in more beneficial ways. So regeneration, transformation. But work on your stuff or your stuff works on you, And now our stuff is working on us. It's coming up from the underground, from underneath, from the unconscious or the subconscious mind. Generalizing here across the globe and the collective, people's wounds are coming up. People are more reactive, more extreme as they feel the pressure of Saturn. Now, Saturn in Capricorn, a lot of that pressure is connected to power structures, governments, okay, and the oppressive side of those structures. And here is Pluto trying to transform all that, okay? So the broad interpretation of this year is basically the crumbling of old, outdated, archaic structures of control and power and greed, and the dark side of ambition, the dark side of the patriarchy. All that's beginning to become more and more obvious as insane and is starting to come apart at the seams. And it's also, all the dark side, all the wounding of that is coming to the surface. And manifesting, again, still working on the dark side here, as the dark side of Jupiter, which can be on one level excess, so the excesses of these power structures being obvious, more and more obvious, starting to fall apart. Jupiter is also about belief. We'll have to talk a lot about belief here, okay, for many reasons astrologically. But beliefs turn rancid, okay, extreme beliefs. Now, what's the positive here? What's the evolutionary intention? What are we trying to achieve, not only in our own personal lives, but together? Always with Saturn, the evolutionary intention is to grow up, to become more wise. Saturn is known as the elder or the wizard. We're trying to become more wizardly, more mature. But sometimes we got to be taught some pretty tough lessons to wisen up. If you ask 100 people what made them wiser, they'll usually tell you about a tough experience they had. Like getting a divorce made me wiser. Losing a parent made me wiser. Falling on my face and that failure made me wiser. Whatever it is. They're usually a paired set. So we can go through tremendous growing pains during Saturn times. And that's what we're experiencing. But through these growing pains, as we get triggered, our wounds get triggered, wounds stemming from rejection, betrayal, abandonment, oppression, injustice. The list goes on and on and on. They're rising to the surface to be released, to be let go. And in turn, we regenerate, we have more energy, but that folds back into our consciousness as more wisdom. And cultivating more faith, and that's really the higher octave expression of Jupiter, more faith in ourselves, more faith in the human future as we try to build a better future. So that's kind of the low end of the symbols and the high end. Meanwhile, we have Mars in its own sign of Aries, supercharged, next to the planetoid Eris, which is also in Aries. And Mars, Aries, and Eris all have threads of commonality, as we'll see as I describe them. Mars, the war god, in the sign of the warrior. And here it is next to Eris, the planet of discord, of the dark side of competition, fierce competition that stems from this belief. There's that Jupiter word of this is a dog-eat-dog world, survival of the fittest, okay? And through the wounding that comes up, the Mars is square the Pluto, the planet of wounding, the wounding that comes up, a lot of it is anger. That's the emotion usually associated with these family of symbols, Mars, Aries. So a lot of anger, which is in this extreme outward push, okay? Also, as I said, competition. And another one with Mars is fear. Okay? And when we're afraid, sometimes we lash out. Okay? So the lesser malefic Mars in a square to the greater malefic Saturn, okay, this is a pressure cooker energy. And people are feistier now. As I said, they're more reactive. And on the dark side, Mars is about conflict, abuse, war, stuff like this, violence, fighting. And a lot of this fighting is going to be based on beliefs and ideologies. But here it is. And the high end of Mars, as we wisen up, as we become more mature through these growing pains and heal from our wounds, as we become stronger, we become braver, more courageous, in a better place to make this faith for a better human future actually begin to concretize instead of it just being a vision. We develop an indomitable will. Through the pain and suffering we're experiencing, we become stronger if we work with the energy or instead of against it, or just letting the energy run through us, randomly. Now, I'll get to the Libra new moon in a second, but let's talk about another astrological event, which is really defining this month. And it's this ongoing, prolonged opposition between Mercury and Uranus. So here we find that opposition, tension between Mercury, the messenger of the gods, and Uranus, the god of earthquakes and lightning bolts, in a face-off with each other. And Mercury is about information, communication, media, transportation. So we could be looking at, disruptions in those areas somewhat, although, that's it's often right, but not always right, kind of a predictive thing. But also we look at Uranus, has kind of a rebellious energy to it, because Uranus itself is about invention, innovation, technology, moving ahead, thinking outside the box. So we could be looking at energy represented of rebelling. Rebelling with what? Rebelling with thoughts and words. Mercury, the messenger of the gods. So rebellious talk. Now, as I look to the kind of the evolutionary intention here, I believe, between these two planets is, yes, Mercury is about information gathering. And here it is in the sign of Scorpio, Scorpio is kind of like a private detective. It's very investigative, kind of has suspicious instincts, looks underneath the surface of things, looks into the dark, trying to find the dark underbelly. And here we find it in this aspect to Uranus, explosive truths, data dumps, disclosure, jarring information, didn't see it coming, because Uranus is linked to kind of shock, oh my God, I can't believe my ears. And this mercurial information, this data coming out, which is driven by the scorpionic motivation to look underneath the surface of things and to find the truth and try to unearth the truth, because, Uranus is in the earth sign of Taurus, and there's a lot of earth going on right now. The aforementioned Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn is in an earth sign of Capricorn. So I like that phrase. This is a time of unearthing the truth that we didn't see coming, that's likely to shock us. And that's really the evolutionary intention here, is to have a clearer understanding of what our reality is. Because, yes, Mercury is the planet of communication, but really at its core essence, if you go underneath the layers of communication, you'll find thoughts. Underneath thoughts, you'll find how we perceive reality. So perceptive shock, snapping us out of the illusion, because we all live in an illusion to a certain degree. We're existing in an illusion here on planet Earth. So getting shocked out of the illusion jarringly as truths come to light, which were previously buried underground. And the more we do that, the more we become in alignment with the way reality actually is, but we can see more clearly. And we will get jarred out of our how we've been trained to be. That's really the evolutionary process of Uranus, is becoming a truer version of yourself. We are all programmed by culture and family to a certain degree. Some illustrate this more than others. But the evolutionary intention of Uranus is growing past that and becoming more in alignment with who we really are as people instead of who we've been trained to be. Our soul personality versus our acquired personality, nature, nurture, they kind of blend and merge together. So individuating, with more clarity in how we perceive reality by information coming in, probably unearthed or dug underground and found some treasure, the treasure of truth, which probably will be hard to look at or to swallow. Now let's turn our attention to, the olive brancher stuck in a mosh pit of a bar fight. This poor, sweet Venus, who is incredibly outnumbered and outgunned. It's like, what do we do here? And ultimately that is the evolutionary intention of this new moon in our own personal inner world and in our outer world as well. And in terms of just broadly speaking, what a new moon represents is it's about a new beginning. So we want to create this new Libran beginning, the peacemaker. Libra's ruled by Venus, the goddess of serenity and peace. So that's the core evolutionary intention here, trying to make that peace treaty in a very chaotic environment. But how do we do that? Well, we contemplate one of the core archetypes for Libra, which is the balance, the platform balance or scale. Got an ounce of lead and an ounce of gold coming into equilibrium with each other. And of course, they're very, very different substances, but they find this balance point. So on one level, since Libra is an air sign, it's on the mental plane. We can look at and of course, we're dealing with a lot of ideas and beliefs, as I kind of hinted at before. Mercury is linked to ideas. Jupiter's linked to belief and faith even. And then we also have the nodes of the moon in Sagittarius and Gemini. I've been talking about that a lot the last couple of videos. But basically the understanding of that is that, generalizing here across the collective, we're kind of drunk on belief systems. That's the dark side of Sagittarius. And with all the Mars energy and the Saturn and the Pluto and the extreme of that's coming out, we're more reactive, we're more angry, we're more fearful, and here our belief systems are just getting spewed in every direction. And everybody's got a position, and they've collected their position papers in their mind, and they're aggressively asserting their stance, and of course, they're just feeding into the aggression, the opposition, the competition of it all. And they're not really solving anything. They're just creating more chaos. So we're drunk on religion, which is to say fixed set of ideologies and belief systems. It's not only about what we believe in God. And meanwhile, Libra, the scales, also known as the judge, being able to stay on the mental plane and finding opposites between finding common ground between opposing ideas, the peacemaker, and recognizing that people are just kind of are lost in that, and to not get sucked up in that, remain in balance. Libra is always about remaining in balance. It's about tolerating paradox, tolerating life's complexity, letting things to just be. Like if we constantly need things to be simpler than they are, like we're dogmatic or something, especially now, if we're dogmatic, we're in this state of vigilance to explain our truths, to explain away the facts that fly in the face of our truths, that challenge that which challenges our own pre-existing beliefs, fighting against that. Libra's not about that. It's just like tolerate life's ambiguity, complexity. It's okay. That's a very mental, air sign, sort of cognitive and intellectual path. And if you're able to stay there without getting caught up in the insanity of that, and just learn to just breathe in, breathe out, learn to stay in this state of meditation, it helps to ease the tension and the burden on the psyche that we're all feeling so strongly now. Next, we want to look to the planet that rules Libra, because the planetary ruler of the sign of the new moon or the full moon, we can think of it as kind of like a helpful ally to achieve the goals of the sign, in this case, developing that inner peace. So here we find Venus in an opposition to Neptune, yet another opposition. And what's interesting about these two planets interacting with each other is both of these planets represent love on some level. You know, Libra itself it's a relationship sign. It's about negotiation, teamwork, and love and connection. We need more of that. So is Venus. Venus rules Libra. There's commonality there. So it's linked to more interpersonal, human, day-to-day relationship and connection and intimacy. And then we have it in an opposition to Neptune, which represents the evolutionary intention to raise our consciousness, basically. It's a very mystical, transrational, metaphysical sort of planet, calling us to raise to a higher level. So on some level, you could say it's the planet of unconditional love. So we have the planet of unconditional love in a face-off with the planet of more human conditional love, let's say. And yes, they're in a face-off, but they have the same goal, or at least similar goals. So love. It's all about love here. Okay, it's all about acceptance. And with Neptune, acceptance about the divine plan, finding solace, finding peace in knowing this is all part of the divine plan as we're being called to grow up through the growing pains so that we can see reality more clearly, having compassion for that process, the process that is a soul incarnate on planet Earth, forgetting where we came from, coming into this dense realm where we exist in this illusion of separateness. So this is the highest octave expression of this is unconditional love, connection, and realizing that all the pain people are feeling now, and all the anger they're expressing is because they've been existing in the realm of pain and suffering, and been brainwashed by this culture of fear, which has kept the average level of consciousness of humanity as a whole very high. I've talked about this before, but if you gave the scale of consciousness from numbers 0 to 1,000, humanity averages about 90, and 90 is right at the level between fear and, I have it written down right here, fear and grief, right in there. And of course, we live in a culture of fear. You just turn on the news, you'll get a feeling for it. From birth, we're fed fear. News primarily focuses on the negative only, instilling that into us at a very young age. And, creates more of that. Wherever, we are super powerful. We are like Jedis incarnate, wherever we focus our intention, wherever we focus our awareness, whatever we're focusing on grows in power, whether it's our own emotions, our own thoughts, whether positive or negative, or if it's something external, where attention goes, energy flows. We have superpowers that most of us aren't even aware that we have. So tapping into this unconditional love, recognizing that, a lot of the insanity we are seeing, the root cause of that, and recognizing that underlying this egoic human personality that's deeply hurt, there is an ineffable, incorruptible extension of God, life light, They're just a little bit lost in the moment. And also, since we're talking about belief systems and stuff, obviously everybody has their version of the truth, And of course, people are defending and attacking others' truths with more vitriol now with this energy we're experiencing. But everybody has a truth, of course, okay? So paying less attention about the truth, their truth, somebody else's truth, and how that is in cross purposes with your truth, and saying in judgment of other people's truths. Pay more attention not to what they believe, but how they act, If they're acting like clowns, then fine, again, revert to the unconditional love and maybe find some separateness between them. And if they're hurting other people, stand up for the people they're hurting, of course, okay? But if they come from a high level of consciousness and they believe differently, you can find common ground, common threads, and work together and be a force. This makes me think of somebody I know in my life. I've known him my whole life. And highly intelligent. I don't know what the heck his IQ is, but it is off the charts. I mean, it's like probably 160 or 180. It's like intimidating to even be in a conversation with the guy because he just runs circles around you. You're like, what? But, I look at what he believes and, see his Facebook posts and stuff like this. I've known him for a long time. And I'm thinking to myself, and disclaimer here, I'm not proud of this thought. Okay, so it's probably not a good idea for me to speak this truth to thousands of people, but here it is. Sometimes I have this thought is, how could somebody so incredibly intelligent be so naive and gullible? Again, I'm not proud of that thought, and I sequester it in the corner of my mind of Bryan don't suck category of my brain. That's a judgment. I get it. And of course, that's a projection from my own belief and how it's totally different from his. I get that. So I don't ever vocalize it, although we have talked about it in the past. But I wouldn't talk about it now with all this heat. It's not necessary. It won't work out that well. But although I look at him, I'm just like confused how he could possibly believe what he believes. I look at his actions. I look at who he is as a person. And he is just a tremendous person. He's amazing. He's very few of us on this planet are impeccable. I wouldn't say he's one of them. I've seen him slip up sometimes, as we all do. But he comes from sheer kindness and love. And although what he believes is by and large a byproduct of his environment and his upbringing and what he's been taught to believe, okay? And I get that. How he acts at a very high level of consciousness, and it's awe-inspiring. And he's a living example of what I want to be more of. And that's the kind of energy we want to tap into and find people like that, even if their belief systems are much different than our own. Because people's belief systems are on high right now. And that's the evolutionary intention between the nodes of the moon with Sagittarius and Gemini, to get away from that being drunk on ideology, identity, politics, religion, and try to access high-end Gemini, which again is very similar to the ruler of Gemini, Mercury, to perceive reality more clearly. Now, returning back to the Neptune opposite Venus for a moment, how can we cultivate more peace, this grand evolutionary intention here? Well, Neptune, working with Neptune, especially when it's in its own sign of Pisces like it is now, is about deepening your spiritual life. It's about meditation. Here it is in aspect to Venus, the goddess of beauty. That's another level of Venus. You look at Venus in the sky, she's the most lovely thing you've ever seen, besides maybe the moon. So she represents beauty. So a meditation upon beauty. I'm going to do a meditation at the end of this video, and we'll be doing just that. But, it's like gaze at a sunrise. It's like, oh my God, just meditate on that. Just breathe it in. Or a beautiful painting. Both Libra and Venus has a strong link to creativity, but also responding aesthetically to life. Look at a rose. It's like, oh my God, what created this? Contemplate, meditate, focus on things of beauty. And you'll find that rather quickly, outer beauty and outer peace translate to inner beauty and inner peace. And really, that's the core intention here, with the goal always being to expand your consciousness. Now, as usual, we're going to transition into the meditation now. I recommend using headphones, because I use a technology called binaural beats that even if you consider yourself a novice meditator, you'll be able to sync, you'll be able to relax and enjoy the visualizations. Enjoy. Sit in a nice, comfortable position with a nice straight spine. Your hands rested comfortably on your lap. You can do this laying down too if you prefer, but you want to have a nice straight spine. And focus by just simply breathing in, breathing out, focusing your conscious awareness on your breath. And make sure it's steady and rhythmic. And you want the length of the inhale to match the length of the exhale. And no pauses in between the in and out breath. Just deep, slow, comfortable breathing. Breathe deep into the belly first on the inhale, and then exhale first from the belly. Always belly first. In, out. Now bring your awareness to the center of your chest. And sometimes this is difficult, but see if you can feel your heartbeat in your chest. It's the pulse of life. And now try to coordinate your breath with the beating of your heart. Four beats of the heart per inhale, and 4 beats per exhale. If you think you can do even slower, try 6 beats of the heart. But you want it to be comfortable. Now bring your awareness to the bottom of both of your feet and visualize a snow white color in and around both of your feet. And feel all the energy go to your feet. And relax all the little muscles in your feet. And see the color grow progressively brighter with each inhale. Nice and easy. Now bring your awareness up into your ankles. See the color move into your ankles. You still have white in the feet, but now it's moving up your legs. Moving up through your ankles, into your calves. And feel all the tissues soften and let go. Now up into the knees. See the white color. Try to keep that 4-4 count on the inhale, on the exhale, as you visualize the snow white color in the bottom half of your legs. Now up into the thighs. Beautiful snow white color. It's the color of God. All colors are in white, and God is in all things. Now bring your attention up to your hips now. Bring the color up. If you get distracted, that's okay. Just bring your mind back to the task at hand. And now you're seeing both of your legs radiating this snow white, beautiful color, shining in all directions, giving you a very grounded feeling. Now move your attention up into your stomach area. Start to see this sky blue nebula starting to form in your stomach. Beautiful sky blue color. Very relaxing color. And it grows brighter with each inhale. And see this blue color start to go out in all directions through your body, discharging any negative energy. You see this sky blue nebula grow brighter with each inhale, and then with each exhale, ripple out in all directions through your body. In, out. This is the main energy center of your body. If you concentrate hard enough, you will feel the energy quite strongly there. Almost like a warmth. And say to yourself, I want perfect health in my body. Now move your attention up to your chest and visualize a pink color, a pink nebula forming in your chest area. See it throughout your entire chest cavity and see it shining in all directions in and around your chest. Grows brighter as you inhale, and you see it vibrate as you exhale, balancing out all your emotions and desires. Stimulating inner peace. Start to feel love for yourself, compassion for yourself. See how beautiful you are. See how far you've come. You're doing the best you can. Feel into that energy of self-love. And honor how beautiful you are as a soul incarnate. move your attention up to your head area. And see a canary yellow nebula in and around your head. You feel it very strong in your head center. It's balancing out all your thoughts and intentions. Canary yellow grows brighter and brighter and brighter. Now bring your attention back to your chest area again. And I want you to try to visualize all three colors at the same time, or four colors: white in the legs, sky blue in the stomach, pink in the heart, and canary yellow in the head, all at the same time, balancing out all three of your bodies: physical, emotional, and mental. Now, focus on the pink color in your chest now, and back to the feelings of self-love and inner peace. Now I want you to visualize a beautiful red rose, and visualize yourself holding the red rose in your hand and bringing it up before your eyes so that you can study it with your mind. Visualize its shape, its size, its color. Turn it before your eyes in your mind and consider it in full detail. See, the petals are soft as velvet, with rich shades of deep crimson. The stem is stiff and coarse in comparison, and your fingers avoid the many thorns. It's so beautiful. Meditate on its beauty. You see the rich green petals. You feel the stalk in your hand. You can even prick the thorns with your fingers. See the patterned veins on the thick waxy leaves. And run your fingers along the edges of it. And bring the rose up to your nose to breathe in its fragrance. And the petals tickle your nose a little bit. And the flower bloomed a few days ago, so it's open in the center. And you can see the stamens inside coated with yellow pollen as they dance about well protected. See the extraordinary beauty of this rose, a creation of God. Now I want you to visualize someone in front of you. Someone that you've had a little difficulty with, or maybe a lot of difficulty with. And see them before you, looking back at you with a blank expression. And visualize this red rose and the pink color in and around your chest. And see yourself extending your hand out and giving this person the red rose as a peace offering, as a gift of love. And see them accept the rose and their expression soften as they accept your gift. Now return your awareness to your entire body, and again see all four colors: white legs, sky blue stomach, pink heart area, and yellow head center. And see these colors beaming out in all directions as every cell of your body takes on this luminescence. Thank you for joining me in this meditation. Until next time.